Alright guys, so in the last video we get some driver's side floor pan patch put in, and a while ago I did the passenger one before I had my YouTube channel. So in this video we're going to cut them up. We're going to start with the passenger one, and the reason we have to cut them is that the Speedtech crossmember that I have for my T56 trans, the brackets sit on top of the subframe. The brackets were pretty close to the original floor pans, but when I cut the originals out and put the new ones in, this part, and I'll show you in a minute, the part slopes down more than the original one does. And on the driver's side, it's just like dips way more than the original one does. So these replacement floor pans are hitting the brackets, and I can't put them in unless I hammer them in. And nobody wants to go down the road hearing metal squeak, you know, stuff like that. So basically we're going to cut the floor pans, lift that section up a little bit, put some filler plates in, and we're going to weld them back shut and basically make some room for the Speedtech brackets. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so here's a look at the Speedtech crossmember. I'm holding this side up right now because I couldn't even get the bracket in at all to put that floor pan in. So, but you can see here there's no room with that bracket. In fact, on this side I pounded this bracket in and it's pushing up on that floorboard a little bit. So the goal is to make these brackets fit. So I want at least a 1/4 inch clearance between the bracket and the floorboard. Alright guys, so here's the game plan. We're going to go ahead and cut the length of this right on the corner up to about here. And then we're going to cut the length of this down, and then after we make that, we're going to go ahead and cut across here somewhere, and that'll allow us to lift this piece up to get the clearance we need. It'll allow us to lift this piece up a little bit, and then what we'll do is try to make this slope look like it was never messed with. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to go ahead and tape all this off so I have a nice straight line to follow for my cuts. I don't know if you can tell or not in the video, but this area here is lifted up from that bracket because I used a hammer to get the bracket in between the floor pan and the subframe just to keep it in there. So hopefully when we're all done, there's no more bulge there. So alright, gonna go ahead and tape this off, make the cuts, and check back. Alright, so here is the tape where we're going to cut. So we're going to cut on this side here, we're going to cut in front here, we're going to cut on this side here, and we're only going to cut up to this area right here. Alright, I'm going to set up the camera, I'm going to make the cuts, and see how it goes. Alright guys, so quick update. Basically, I hammered this piece up using hammer and dolly as best I could. It was tough because I can't reach around the bottom of the car and the top of the car, so I ended up using some flanging vice grips and pulling it up and then hammering out as best I can. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and weld this section here, and once that's welded, I'll go ahead and take a cutoff wheel across this piece that I hammered up, and that'll give me a nice gap. So I'll just go through both pieces or whatever and then weld all the way up to here. And then what we'll do is focus on bending this down, get it tacked in place, and then last we can come across here and take care of this. Okay, so we have this tacked in on this side, and what I want to do now is focus on bending this piece, and that'll give us a nice gradual curve, and then get this tacked in place in the curve that I want it, and then that'll make it easy to fill the ends over here. Along with this here on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and find a way to bend this just so I don't have to force it in there. You generally want your panels to be bent and just sitting in place ready to be welded. If it's tough to get it there for some reason, you can generally put a tack and a tack and just keep, you know, forcing the panel in place. But again, ideally you kind of get it where you want it first, then tack. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and install some butt weld clamps to make this easier. Here is the top part of the clamp. You stick this down through your butt weld, and then underneath the panel you put this block through there like that, and then you tighten down the wing nut, and that will pull the panels together. So we got these butt weld clamps in place. You can see how those work to bring the panel together. So now I'll just tack in between these two and probably on the ends, and then I'll remove those. Got that tacked in. We're going to work on this piece next. Basically we're going to fold this up until it meets, and we can either make a cut right along here and then weld, or we could just burn this into this and then grind the back off whenever we get underneath. We'll figure it out when we get there. And then last we'll make a piece for here. Alright, so use the hammer and dolly and bent this up as close as I can. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and take the cutoff wheel, create a gap through here that we can then use to maybe get some of those butt weld clamps in here, but probably not, just because of the angle that this is on. But at the very least we'll be able to use a screwdriver, a flathead, to pry this up to where we need it to be as we're going through and putting tacks in place. Alright, so we got this whole side tacked. It's pretty much ready, so we're going to go ahead and move our attention to the front and get that piece in there. Alright guys, so what I'm doing here is I need to make a new piece for the front. I'd like to get a little bit of a slope. I'm going to lose some slope this way because this piece isn't straight. So I'm going to try to get into this and just come out. So what I can do here is take this and come out just a little bit, but I want to make sure that my measurements from here to here are square, or the same, I guess. So I have 2 3/8 there. Two 3/8, 2 3/8. All right. So what I'm going to do now is kind of mark right in front of this, and then we can cut some of this out. So now what we're going to do is cut this piece off that's in front. It's where the slope was prior to cutting it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we're just going to cut right in front of that tape, and it'll be easier to just put in a new piece here instead of trying to attach to that piece. I tried bending it out and everything, but it's just going to be easier just to make a nice straight piece and put it in there. So we're going to go ahead and do. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and measure up a piece for this. So I cut out that piece, as you can see, where it starts sloping up. We left this piece here because that's where we're going to start the new piece. So this distance lengthwise is 10 1/4, and then we're going to make the whole piece about 1 1/4 inches tall. That'll give us a little extra. So we have our piece cut. And I left it tall on this side. Down there it's pretty close. I tried to put a little bit of a twist into this because obviously this here is going at an angle. This piece here is going at an angle, which means this piece is going to go, you know, it's going to have a little twist to it. What I'm going to do is just tack it in and keep lining up as I go and making the twist as I go, and see how it goes. Alright, so we got everything tacked in. You can see how that piece turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and burn this in. Remember, when you're doing this, you want to jump around. You don't want to stay in one spot, and you want to let this stuff cool down. Now this piece has a number of bends and curves to it, so it's probably not going to move too much. But I'm still going to jump around, so. Alright, it's all burnt in. It's ready to grind the welds down, and we can call this side done after that. And then we'll have to tackle the driver's side. Alright, that is burnt in and it looks pretty good in my opinion. Here's a look at the front side. Maybe a little more work cleaning this up in here. But We're in. So looks pretty good. Still looks somewhat factory. So the plan is to do the driver's side next. So that one goes, this part here goes down pretty far compared to the original. So basically what we're going to do is cut along here and bring this up. So we'll get into that next time. Let's go under real quick, take a look at the clearance that we got now. So let's see. So there's the bracket. You can see that we have about 1/4 inch of clearance there, which is awesome. Pumped about that. Come at it from the other side. Don't know if we'll be able to see. So there you go. And you can see right there where it used to rub. Now we have plenty of room. Okay guys, that is it for this one. In the next one, we're going to go ahead and tackle the driver's side. Do the same thing. We've got to make room for that Speedtech bracket. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you like this content, please consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get alerts whenever we post new videos. If you got any questions or comments, post them down below and I'll get back to you. We'll see you in the next one.